Now the test selection is hidden from the user in the basic mode because it's done automatically for him. The user just gets this information telling him that if he wishes to review that selection, he may refer to the advanced view. Now this part is the last step where there's a difference between the advanced and the basic mode. Next, verification. But let me first go back to the scenario configuration and switch to the advanced view. And later I will tell you about the verification step. If you have used the Visual Studio Load Test Wizard before, the following screens should be familiar to you. They roughly resemble the Load Test Wizard from Microsoft. So in the first screen, the scenario name, the think time and the pacing. In the next screen, the user selects the load pattern, constant load, the step load. New here is the goal-based load pattern, where you have to select a monitor. You have all the monitoring sets with all the monitors. And you have the threshold configuration and the ramp up configuration. This part is not there in the load test wizard from Microsoft. You can only configure this after you've finished the wizard process in the properties of the load test in Visual Studio. So this is an improvement over the wizard. You select the test mix model. Then you have the network mix. You can add more network connections. You have all available connections here. The sliders and everything. This part works exactly as the wizard in Visual Studio. You can model your distribution like this. The browser mix, the same as the network mix. It works the same. But you select your browsers and then mix them accordingly. Right now we have 2 Firefox versions and 3 Internet Explorer versions. This is because we selected the corporate user. The list of browsers available features a few more browsers than there are available in Visual Studio. Next are the run settings. Either you decide on the load test duration or you define a number of iterations you want to do. The screen is the same as in the wizard from Microsoft. And then finally the test selection. Again, you see this mixing tool with the distribution, and in this drop down box you get the list of all the scripts that are delivered with the tool. Coming to the verification step I was talking about earlier. This is an important step where the user has to review the parameter files of the scripts. So in the left hand box he sees the selected tests. When he selects one of those, in the box on the right side appear the CVS files which are used by this create page test. Now if the user selects one of those files, the content will be opened in this grid view on the bottom. He's able to edit the content here, like my user, my password, foo bar, and he can add new rows like this. This part is essential because the client has to put his users in here and also the URL where his SharePoint server is to be found. As you can see, once a CVS file has been reviewed, its icon turns into a green check mark indicating that the user has reviewed it already, meaning that he does not have to review a single CVS file, a unique CVS file, more than one time. Once all parameter files of a test turn green, the test itself turns green as well, telling the user that he does not have to review this test anymore. And all other tests featuring or using the same CVS files turn green as well. So homepage has another parameter file and search query as well. That's why they didn't turn green when the others did. Now the configuration of the load test is done. So when I press the generate load test button, again I get to select a location where to store the files. I'm going to do it on the desktop again. As you see, it created a folder again. This folder contains a Visual Studio 2010 solution, which I'm going to open now. Takes a second. And as you can see here on the right hand side, the solution features all the web tests that are delivered with our application, plus the plugins used by those web tests, plus the load test we just created. So here you can see the tests, the test mix from earlier, the browser mix, the network mix. This is not purely LAN anymore. despite me having selected corporate users, because I added a few more connections for demonstration purposes. You can see that it's using the goal-based load pattern. And down here it has all the machines you saw earlier in the big diagram I loaded with their respective monitors. So like this, the user has his load test solution and just has to execute it. Now coming back to the application, the fourth major part of the application is almost done, not yet finished, which is the reporting. In the future, there will be a fourth section, there will be more configuration steps here, where the user can create reports based on his own custom Word templates or HTML templates, featuring new graphs of the load test data from the executed load test, which you don't get like this in Visual Studio. There are more detailed graphs with information about one single run, instead of having like an outlook over the course of several runs. This is very important. So this is it. Thank you for listening. My name is Helge Maat. I work for Testhouse Spain. Goodbye.